equally excited about really shifting consumer products. And we're now going to get on stage Lara Solomon from Hoopsy, which is an eco-pregnancy test made from paper instead of plastic. So welcome to the stage, and over to you, Lara.
Thank you. Well, good morning, good afternoon, everyone. So my name's Lara. I'm the founder of Hoopsy. Hoopsy started after I went through IVF in 2021. I did 2 donor embryo transfers, and through doing that, I joined a number of Facebook groups, and I was really surprised to see the number of pregnancy tests that women were using. I had just assumed you'd use 1, but actually on average, women use 3. And if you're doing a round of IVF, it might be more like 10 or 15 tests. As a result, globally every year, about 11.3 million kilos of plastic from home-based testing kits goes into landfill. This is the same as 2 Eiffel Towers in terms of weight. So the problem is huge. So we're going to start with the pregnancy test and introducing the Hoopsy Eco Pregnancy Test. This is a pregnancy test made from 99% paper. It's over 99% accurate and is 99% plastic free. It's a midstream test, and it is price parity on a per test basis versus other tests in the market and has the same accuracy level. We launched last year into the UK, and we're currently selling through physical and online pharmacy, online eco stores, as well as our own website. And we've been featured in the media over 70 times since we launched. The market that we're playing in is the £30 billion immunoassay test market, and our addressable market of £5.11 billion home-based urine test market. And where we're starting is the pregnancy test market of £1.5 billion. All of these markets are growing at between 5 and 10% year on year. So we're starting with pregnancy tests, then we'll expand into home-based urine tests and then into immunoassay tests. Currently in the pregnancy test market, the products that are available from left to right here is a home-based blood pregnancy test. You've got a saliva test that just came out earlier this year, midstream digital test, a midstream analog, a cassette test, and a strip test. Now, we know through talking to consumers and research that 95% of women prefer to use a midstream test. And even though the most sustainable option is the strip test. However, the strip test means you need to wee in a cup and dip the test in, and women don't like doing that because they perceive it to be messy. The new saliva and blood tests are twice as expensive as the other tests on the market, which puts people off, and also they're even more plastic, and accuracy levels are about the same for everything. There is a huge opportunity in a £30 billion market for Hoopsy. So our current pregnancy test, we have spoken to a number of consumers and also looked at different research that we found. And what we've realized is that when women are taking a pregnancy test, they don't read the instructions, or if they do, they don't follow them. Because when they're doing a test, they're not necessarily in the most rational frame of mind. They're kind of going, am I, aren't I? So there is a real need for a test that has better usability and is more intuitive to use. We also know through research we did with 522 women who are trying to conceive that 1 in 3 is concerned about the amount of plastic in the tests that they use. And as a result, we've filed a provisional patent in February this year for a new design of test and made from more sustainable materials to get rid of that 1% of plastic that's in our tests. This means that our next step would be to launch pregnancy and ovulation tests and other urine-based tests under the Hoopsy brand, white label for other brands, and we've already had interest from that, and also license the IP to immunoassay manufacturers for the sustainable aspect of the test. Our financial projections reflect this, with version 2 of the test launching mid-2026. That would be into the UK, the US, and Europe. We will then start the white labeling, licensing, and that takes us up to our growth of £50 million from 2031. Our current GP is 70 to 80%, and we'd hope to maintain that with the new test as well. The team is made up of myself. I'm a serial entrepreneur, and I have an amazing director and some fabulous people on the advisory team as well. Now we're looking for an investment of £1 million. This is to develop version 2 of the product in terms of the testing for the new material and regulatory approvals, to expand the Hoopsy team, marketing and promotion for the sustainable tests, because we found that people have this feeling that sustainable tests won't work as well as the regular tests, even though inside the plastic test there is a piece of paper, so it's very, very similar. And manufacturing of version 2. This will give us runway to the end of 2025. So please join us on our mission to eliminate single-use plastic. And I look forward to your questions.
Thank you, Lara. Amazing. And we'll get the judges on screen, and we'll ask Samia to ask the first question.
Hi, Lara.
Hello.
How are you?
Good, good.
So I don't know that much about this particular market, but so my questions are a little bit related to the market. But given the given the fact that pregnancy tests, midstream pregnancy tests, in terms of accuracy, are so close, what makes someone? I know that a lot of them are owned by sort of these like Swiss large diagnostic test companies. What makes someone a winner in this market? Is it just being under a big corporate brand and spending on the marketing, and how defensible is your IP within that sort of within that market? What's it going to take basically for you guys to be the leaders? And then the second thing is just a random question. I know a lot of people like to keep their pregnancy tests for a little bit, which makes it easier if it's plastic versus paper. So is that going to be an issue?
Okay, well, I'll answer the second question first. So this, just so you can see, this is the current test unused. So it's actually kind of like more like cardboard than a piece of paper. And here's one that my sister-in-law weed on, when she was pregnant. So this was done in April. So you can see that you could actually keep it if you wanted to, because people do frame their tests. So that's that's the first point. In terms of the other players in the market, the biggest player is Clear Blue. And they've been around since the year dot, so since pregnancy tests launched. And yes, they position themselves as the most trusted brand, and that is a lot through marketing. But I think as people start to be more concerned over sustainability and climate change, that people will start to, well, I already know, I did a sustainability show a couple of weeks ago, and people they just were like, a sustainable test, awesome, we're buying it. There was no concern around the Clear Blue point. They were like, well, we hate using those plastic ones, we want something more sustainable. So I know that it will take marketing dollars to move people across, but I also know that people are actually actively looking for this kind of product. So it's kind of going to be a mixture of both. But also in this market, it's very interesting because women have quite strong preconceived ideas about tests. And if you look in the chats, it will be like, oh, if you want an accurate one, use Clear Blue. If you want this one really works well for this, and it's all based on their own personal experience. So a lot of it is educating people and mindset, because when I said people do 3 tests, normally the first 2 are analog and then the third one is digital, because they perceive that digital is more accurate. But actually, in all of them, it's the same little piece of paper. Right. But it's just all about perception. So there's a lot, it's education really, and awareness.
So what would stop like a Swiss Precision Diagnostics to create a paper-based product?
Well, currently on the product we have, there is no IP. So there was nothing that would stop them. But on the new version of the test that we have coming out, the design is very revolutionary compared with anything that's out there at the moment. And the fact that, so in our test, the only piece of plastic is here where the results show up, and that's nitrocellulose, and that's where the chemical is. So that's used in every immunoassay test, and globally, that's what everyone uses. And no one has done a replacement for that. So we have the IP on that, we will have, and that will basically protect us then in terms of that sustainable angle of using the test.
Thank you.
Happy to go next. Hi, Lara. Thanks very much for your presentation. Just wondering a bit more about the regulatory approval process. Are you able to share a bit more about how long it takes and how much it costs? And then there's a second question around price point, but I'll save that for a minute or two.
Okay, so yeah, the regulatory approvals, it varies from country to country. So with Europe, that all is in one, but then most other countries, it's a per country basis. The timing takes anything between 6 months to 18 months, depending on the country or the location, because just the backlog, etc., of what they've got to get through. Like, for example, at the moment, Europe is 18 months, whereas Canada is 6. And the cost, again, it depends on the country. For example, in the US, they do they subsidize for small businesses. So it's about $4,000 to register with the FDA. But then you have ongoing yearly costs, but then you've got the regulatory consultant on top. So we're estimating around £50,000 a market. I don't think it will be that much in some markets, but it's kind of others it will be more. Like, we know that in Europe it will be a lot more expensive because just the information they need and the tests and everything are a lot more expensive.
Thank you. And sorry if I missed this, but what is the price point compared to Clear Blue and others, and how have you gone about that and ensuring that it's competitive?
So yeah, so at the moment we're price parity on a per test basis, so we're around £5 a test. Our cost of goods is tiny, so we could drop the price definitely, but I was like, it's better to go in at price parity and come down than to go in really low and it's harder to come up. So at the moment I'm doing quite a lot of testing around, should we be selling at a lower price, or is it that perception that higher price means it works, lower price means it doesn't? Because there is that perception with like dollar stores and things like that yeah, you can buy it from there and it's really cheap, but it doesn't actually work. So it's kind of a balancing act between the two. So that's kind of, I'm testing with the moment, for example, on the website, we've got 50% off. So which would take our test down to $250 a test. And I'm just seeing how that compares, and does it result in a huge leap in sales? At the moment, it doesn't seem to be. So it doesn't seem that price is a big barrier in this market.
Hi, Lara. Thanks so much for the presentation. To me, this feels like a no-brainer. And so I have sort of similar questions to Sammy around, what's stopping the bigger players doing it. And so I'd love to understand just a little bit more about that vision too. How far progressed are you with developing this? Would that require then its own sort of regulatory approval? Yeah, where are you in the process, and what are some of the sort of barriers or key challenges that you foresee in being successful in that process?
Sure. So at the moment, we just started the industrial design phase of the second version of the product. So doing the new design to get it more intuitive and user-friendly. In September, we're going to start the research into the sustainable material. We've identified the material, but it needs to be tested thoroughly, and that takes about 12 months. And then we'll start the regulatory approvals after that, which is why we're looking at a launch of around 2026 for the new version of the product. I am completely aware that, yes, we developed this product with the manufacturer, and it was done in a matter of months. So I'm completely aware that someone could come in and do this very easily. So, I'm trying to position us as a business, as a brand, as we all know that people are moving towards more to smaller brands, to brands that care about them, that, want to help them. And so we're trying to take advantage. We are doing that through my previous experience with going through IVF. And it's one of those, especially with pregnancy tests, it's one of those things people really look for support and help. And I get a lot of messages, like on WhatsApp, people take a photo of their test and they're like, what does this mean? Am I, aren't I? And then, or when should I test? And those kind of questions. So by being the brand that does that helps them through that process. And we also have a free online fertility community, which the other brands don't. So we're trying to kind of offer that more holistic support rather than just selling a product. And the fact that we care, and like I say that, I always feel it's so cheesy saying that, but I actually do care about people and on their fertility journey. I feel that that's going to be what differentiates us. Obviously, we don't have the huge spending power of Clear Blue or the reach, but I find it very interesting. Like, I agree with you. It seems a complete no-brainer. When I got the first sample, I was just like, why has no one done this? This seems so obvious, but no one has done anything in this segment. And when I've had meetings with Boots last year, I actually said to them, like, what innovations are coming through? And they said, well, Clear Blue has got a new box. I was like, okay. And they have, as a retailer, they haven't made any provision for any innovation coming through. In fact, they were like, oh, okay, right. Well, we can't do anything with you until our next big range review, because we kind of thought nothing would change for the next 2 years. So we've just kind of left it. So I feel that, and I could be completely wrong, but I feel like with Clear Blue, P&G see that as a bit of a cash cow for them, and that it's something that just ticks over in the background, makes them a hell of a lot of money, but they don't necessarily spend a lot on R&D and innovation in it. So I don't know if that kind of answers your question. It's a hard one, because obviously, it'd be great to have spies there seeing what they're doing, but not possible.
Yeah, no, but I mean, I think you've answered the question. I think that this kind of element of community is an interesting one. I've seen other brands do that and do that successfully, and even create other sort of monetization avenues. So it's interesting. Probably run out of time, but thanks so much. That's really, really interesting.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Lara. Thank you.